In the vast central chamber of the Galactic Federation, thousands of representatives gathered for the seasonal council meeting. The room buzzed with voices from 17 different species discussing trade routes and border disputes. Archaeologist Taehyun stood quietly at the edge of the room, clutching his data tablet tightly against his chest. His blue scales reflected the soft light from above as he waited for his turn to speak. The council recognizes archaeologist Taehyun of the Venturi, announced head counselor Do-hyun, his crystalline body parts shimmering. Taehyun walked to the center platform, feeling the eyes of the entire assembly on him. He took a deep breath. Honored members of the council, I have discovered something that may change our understanding of galactic history. He activated his presentation, and holographic images appeared around the chamber. They showed stone tablets, metal artifacts, and ancient drawings from 12 different worlds. All contained similar markings and symbols. These artifacts all reference beings called humans. The markings are remarkably consistent across planets separated by thousands of light years. This suggests these humans were not myths but real beings who influenced multiple civilizations. Low murmurs spread through the chamber. Counselor Juwoo rose from her seat, her 4 tentacles waving with obvious irritation. Archaeologist Taehyun, the council appreciates your dedication, but these are clearly religious symbols from primitive cultures. The human myth has been studied and dismissed many times. They are simply stories told by ancient peoples to explain natural events they didn't understand. With respect, Counselor, Taehyun replied, the consistency is too perfect. And I found something else. He displayed a new image, strange coordinates pointing to a region beyond Federation space. These coordinates appear in multiple artifacts. They point to a system in the Forbidden Zone. The chamber erupted in loud voices. The Forbidden Zone had been off-limits for thousands of years, protected by ancient treaties and automated defense systems. Enough. Counselor Do-hyun's voice boomed across the room. Archaeologist Taehyun, the council thanks you for your presentation. Your findings will be noted in the records, but we will not approve any expedition beyond our borders based on myths. This matter is closed. Later that evening, Taehyun sat alone in his small research vessel, reviewing his findings again. He couldn't let this go. The evidence was too strong, the pattern too clear. His communication unit suddenly buzzed. Taehyun, it's me, Minja. The excited voice of his research assistant filled the cabin. I finished analyzing that data crystal you found in the ruins on Nexus VY. And, Taehyun asked, sitting up straighter. It wasn't corrupted, it was encrypted. I managed to break through the security, and you won't believe what I found. The screen on Taehyun's wall lit up, showing a recording. Unlike the static images of the artifacts, this was a moving holographic video. It showed bipedal creatures manipulating technology far more advanced than anything the Federation currently possessed. The beings stood on 2 legs, with 2 arms, smooth skin, and hair on their heads. Humans, Taehyun whispered. These are actual humans. The recording showed them building something massive, a ship or station of some kind. Then it ended with a clear image of coordinates, the same ones Taehyun had found repeatedly in the artifacts. The council is wrong, said Minji through the communicator. Humans weren't myths. They were real, and they left breadcrumbs for someone to find them. Taehyun stared at the final frame showing the human face. It looked directly at the camera, as if staring across time at whoever would eventually see this recording. The question is, Taehyun said quietly, why did they disappear? And why did they want to be found later? He made his decision quickly, sending messages to a few trusted contacts. A strong engineer named Hyunwoo, who believed humans had created the legendary weapons of the ancient wars. Gina, a researcher fascinated by the psychology of mythical species, and pilot Dongo, who never turned down a chance for adventure. 3 days later, they met secretly at an outlying space dock. Their small research vessel was loaded with supplies for a long journey. This is completely against Federation law, Hyunwoo reminded them as they prepared for departure. If we're caught heading to the Forbidden Zone, we'll face serious punishment. Sometimes the truth is worth the risk, Taehyun replied, looking at the coordinates on his navigation screen. If humans were real, and they influenced our past, then everything we think we know about our history could be wrong. Don't you want to know the truth? The others nodded in agreement. Dong-ho fired up the engines, and their ship slipped away from the dock, setting course for the edge of known space, and beyond, to where the truth about humans waited to be discovered. The small research vessel hummed quietly as it moved through empty space. 5 days had passed since they left Federation territory. Taehyun looked at the star map showing their position. They were now officially in the Forbidden Zone. I still think this is crazy, said Hyunwoo. The big engineer checked the engine readings with a frown. His thick fingers moved quickly over the control panel despite their size. If the Federation catches us, we'll spend the next 50 years in a prison colony. Only if they catch us, replied Dong-ho from the pilot's seat. The young pilot grinned as he adjusted their course. Besides, aren't you curious? These coordinates have appeared in ruins across a dozen worlds. Gina sat quietly, her large eyes closed, as she focused her telepathic abilities. There's something strange about this region. I can feel echoes, like old memories impressed into space itself. Taehyun nodded, studying the artifacts they had brought on board. The ancient texts call this the sleeping place of the sky gods. If humans were real, and they came from this region. Suddenly, warning lights flashed across the control panels. The ship shuddered as something hit their shields. Automatic defense system, shouted Dong-ho, gripping the controls tightly. Some kind of energy mines. More impacts rocked the small vessel. Through the view screen, they saw small spherical objects appearing out of nowhere, glowing brightly before exploding against their shields. Shields at 60%, reported Hyunwoo. We can't take many more hits. Dong-ho twisted the ship through a complex series of maneuvers, trying to avoid the worst of the mines. These things are arranged in a pattern. It's not random. It's a maze. Taehyun studied the sensor readings. You're right. It's a test. Look at the pattern. There's a clear path through. Follow these coordinates. For the next 2 hours, they carefully navigated the invisible minefield. Just when they thought they had passed through safely, a massive barrier appeared before them, a wall of energy stretching in all directions. Now what? Asked Hyunwoo. We can't go through that. Taehyun examined his artifacts again. Wait. The tablets from Nexus VII mentioned a door that opens to the worthy. There must be a way through. Gina suddenly opened her eyes. I can feel something, a pattern in the energy. It's waiting for something. A signal, perhaps. Taehyun connected his data tablet to the ship's communication system. Let's try this. He sent the strange symbols from the human artifacts toward the energy barrier. For several long moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, a circular opening appeared in the barrier, just large enough for their ship to pass through. It worked, exclaimed Dong-ho, carefully guiding their vessel through the opening. Once they crossed, the barrier closed behind them. Ahead lay a star system with a single small yellow star and several planets. The third planet was blue and brown, much like many life-supporting worlds. According to the coordinates, we need to go to the fourth planet, said Taehyun. As they approached, they saw it was a dry red world with thin atmosphere. It looked dead, with no signs of oceans or vegetation. There's nothing here, Hyunwoo said with disappointment. No signs of civilization at all. But as they orbited the planet, something massive came into view, a space station, perfectly preserved, floating in synchronous orbit above the planet's surface. That's impossible, whispered Dong-ho. That station looks completely intact. If it's as old as your artifacts, it should have fallen apart ages ago. Hyunwoo checked the sensors. Power readings are minimal but present. There are functioning systems in there. Can we dock? Asked Taehyun, barely able to contain his excitement. Dong-ho nodded, guiding their ship toward the massive structure. There's what looks like a docking bay. I'll try to match the connection ports. With careful maneuvering, they connected their ship to the ancient station. The airlock indicators showed a breathable atmosphere inside. We should wear environment suits anyway, Taehyun advised. We don't know what might be waiting for us. Fully suited, the four explorers passed through the airlock into the station. The moment they entered, lights began activating along the corridors, as if the station was waking up after a long sleep. The power systems are responding to our presence, Kanwoo said, checking his scanner. Something's activating throughout the station. They moved cautiously through clean, perfectly preserved corridors. The design was unlike anything in Federation architecture. Smooth curved walls with strange symbols that matched those on Taehyun's artifacts. This is human writing, Taehyun said, touching one of the wall panels. We're standing in actual human construction. They entered a large circular room with a platform in the center. As soon as all four of them were inside, the doors closed behind them, and a bright light appeared above the platform. The light took shape, forming into a figure that looked like the humans from the recordings. It spoke in an unknown language, the sound strange to their ears. After several attempts, the figure seemed to analyze their responses and switched to Federation standard language. Welcome, travelers. I am Gardian, the caretaker of this facility. You have found us at last. The four explorers stared at the glowing figure before them. Gardian looked like a human but made of light, tall with clear features that shifted slightly as it spoke. What do you mean, found us at last? Asked Taehyun, taking a careful step forward. Were you expecting visitors? Gardian's light pulsed gently. This station was designed to be discovered eventually. The artifacts you found were left deliberately across the galaxy, waiting for curious minds to follow their trail. Gina approached the hologram, her telepathic senses picking up unusual patterns. This isn't just a recording. There's an actual consciousness here. Correct, said Gardian. I am an artificial intelligence created to maintain this facility and monitor galactic conditions. My primary purpose is to protect what lies below. The floor beneath them suddenly became transparent. They gasped as they saw an enormous underground complex stretching for miles in all directions beneath the planet's surface. Row after row of sleek metal pods filled vast chambers. What is this place? Whispered Dongho. The Preservation Complex, answered Gardian. Home to the last of humanity. Gardian waved a hand, and holographic displays appeared around them, showing images of human civilization, cities, ships, and technology, far beyond what the Federation possessed. 5,000 years ago, humanity reached its peak. We explored the stars and met many young species. We helped some, observed others, and became known in their myths and legends. The sky gods, Taehyun said quietly. Yes, but then came the War of Dissolution, an entity we called the Collective, a parasitic consciousness that could inhabit living beings and spread like a disease across worlds. It consumed entire species, turning them into parts of itself. The displays showed terrible images of creatures being transformed, ships battling in space, and planets burning. Humanity fought for centuries, developing weapons to combat the Collective. Eventually, we succeeded in destroying most of it, but at great cost. Our homeworld was lost, many colonies destroyed. But why hide? Asked Hyunwoo. If you won the war. We discovered something troubling. Guardian's voice grew somber. The Collective wasn't completely destroyed. Small pieces survived, fragments that could slowly grow again over thousands of years. They were specifically drawn to human biological patterns. Our continued presence in the galaxy would give them targets to seek. So humans removed themselves from the galaxy, said Taehyun, finally understanding. They erased evidence of their existence to protect everyone else. Precisely. Almost the entire remaining human population entered stasis sleep here, protected by defenses, and hidden from the galaxy. I was programmed to monitor for signs of the Collective's return. If detected, I would awaken humanity to face the threat once more. Gina looked troubled. But why are you telling us this? We're not humans. Guardian turned to face their ship, visible through a window. Your vessel's quantum signature contains contamination patterns consistent with Devourer infiltration. Devourer? Asked Dongmo. What's that? The name other species gave to what humans call the collective. Your ship has been in proximity to infected individuals. The patterns are unmistakable. Alarms suddenly began sounding throughout the station. Red lights flashed in sequence. What's happening? Shouted Hyunwoo above the noise. Awakening protocol initiated, stated Guardian calmly. Contamination patterns confirm Devourer presence in the galaxy has reached critical levels. Humanity must wake. The displays showed activity in the underground complex. Thousands of stasis pods began activation sequences, their lights changing from dim blue to bright white. Wait, called Taehyun. You're waking them all. Just because our ship might have been near something infected. Not all, replied Guardian. Initial awakening involves only key personnel, scientists, military leaders, and specialists. Full awakening will follow if the threat is confirmed. The floor beneath them hummed with power as ancient systems fully activated for the first time in millennia. Come, said Guardian, as a door opened in the wall. The first humans will emerge soon. They will want to speak with the ones who found them. They followed the glowing figure through corridors that were now fully lit and active. They descended in a transparent elevator, watching as they passed level after level of the massive complex. When they reached the awakening chambers, workers, robots with smooth metal bodies, moved efficiently between pods, checking systems, and assisting where needed. The first pod opened with a soft hiss. Mist rolled out as the cover slid away. Inside lay a human, a female with dark hair. Her eyes opened slowly, blinking in the light. Status report, Guardian, she said, her voice hoarse from long disuse. Welcome back, Director Subin, replied Guardian. The sleep period has ended. The Devourers have returned. Subin's gaze shifted to the 4 aliens standing nearby. Her eyes widened slightly, but she showed no fear. And who? She asked with remarkable calmness. Are our visitors? Taehyun watched in amazement as more humans emerged from their stasis pods. They moved slowly at first, their bodies adjusting after thousands of years of sleep. Medical robots attended to each one, providing drinks and running scans. Director Subin sat across from the 4 visitors in a small meeting room. She was smaller than Taehyun had expected. Humans were nothing like the powerful giants from ancient legends. She seemed fragile compared to Hyunwoo's massive frame, yet her eyes held a sharp intelligence that made Taehyun uncomfortable. So the Federation has grown to 17 species, Subin said after they explained their origins. Interesting. In our time, most were still pre-spaceflight civilizations. Your people are mentioned in our oldest stories, said Taehyun. The Venturi have tales of sky visitors who taught us about the stars. Subin nodded. We had contact with your ancestors. We helped some species when it seemed right to do so. A tall human male entered the room. He wore a simple gray uniform with colored markings on the shoulders. Director, the Command Council is assembling, he said, and Dr. Yumha reports the first scans are complete. Thank you, Commander Jono, Subin replied. Please escort our guests to the primary briefing room. They followed Commander Jono through wide corridors now buzzing with activity. Hundreds of humans moved with purpose, checking systems and preparing equipment. Some stared at the aliens with curiosity, but quickly returned to their tasks. The briefing room contained a large round table with displays built into its surface. About 20 humans were already seated. They fell silent as the aliens entered. These are the explorers who found us, announced Subin, representatives of the Galactic Federation. A human woman with gray-streaked hair stood up. I am Dr. Yumna, Chief Science Officer. I've analyzed your ship's quantum signature. The contamination patterns are unmistakable. She activated a display showing strange, shadowy patterns. These are devourer markers. They match what we fought 5,000 years ago. What exactly are these devourers? Asked Hyunwoo. Commander Shuno replied, not what, who. They're not a species. They're a parasitic consciousness that infects other beings. They can hide inside a host for years, influencing their actions while remaining undetected. Dr. Yume continued, the markers on your ship indicate you've been in close contact with infected individuals. Based on their signature pattern, we believe the infection has reached high levels within your Federation. That's impossible, protested Dongho. We would know if our people were infected. No, you wouldn't, said Subin gently. The early stages are nearly impossible to detect without our technology. The host maintains normal behavior while slowly being changed from within. Gina looked troubled. Could the Federation Council be infected? They've always strictly enforced the ban on exploring this region. Keeping others away from us would be logical for any remaining devourers, said Commander Chuno. They fear us because we developed ways to detect and destroy them. A new human entered the room, an older male with dark skin and white hair. Everyone stood in respect. Director Subin, report, he said calmly. Admiral Kyung, initial scans confirm devourer presence in the Federation. Wake protocols are proceeding as planned. The Admiral studied the 4 aliens carefully. You've taken a great risk coming here. Your Federation considers this forbidden space for a reason. Taehyun stepped forward. We came seeking truth, Admiral. For thousands of years, humans were just stories in our history. Now we know you're real. And now you're in danger, said the Admiral. If infected Federation officials discover you found us, they'll stop at nothing to prevent this information from spreading. The room fell silent as everyone considered this. Finally, Taehyun spoke again. What will you do now? Return to the galaxy? Admiral Kyung nodded. We must. The devourers are resilient. The fragments we failed to destroy have been growing, spreading quietly through your Federation. If left unchecked, they'll eventually consume all sentient life. Commander Chuno activated another display showing small ships moving into launch position. Our advanced teams are preparing now. We'll need to identify and neutralize key infection points before the devourers realize we've returned. There's something else you should know, said Gina hesitantly. Before we left, the Federation Council was planning to send an expedition to this region. They claimed it was to investigate strange energy readings, but now I wonder. Admiral Kyung and Subin exchanged concerned looks. How soon? Asked the Admiral. Within a standard month, replied Gina. 3 warships led by Admiral Jihoon himself. The timing is no coincidence, said Subin. If they've detected our systems reactivating, they'll move quickly to stop us. Then we must move faster, declared Admiral Kyung. He turned to the aliens. You 4 have a choice. Return to Federation space now, or remain with us, and help us save your people from a threat they don't even know exists. Taehyun looked at his companions. They had come seeking answers about the past. Instead, they had stumbled into a war for the future of all life in the galaxy. We'll help, said Taehyun. Humans were just legends to us yesterday. Today, you might be our only hope. The 3 Federation warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their weapon systems powering up as they approached the human station. From the command center, Taehyun watched the massive vessels with growing fear. They're hailing us, reported a human technician. Admiral Kyung nodded. On screen, the face of Federation Admiral Jihoon appeared. His expression was stern. Unauthorized vessel, you have breached forbidden space. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Taehyun recognized several high-ranking Federation security officials standing behind Jihoon. All belonged to departments that had most strongly opposed exploration of the Forbidden Zone. Admiral Jihoon, Taehyun said, stepping forward, we discovered something important here. Humans are real. They. Silence. Jihoon's voice was cold. You have violated our most ancient laws. Your punishment will be severe. Commander Shunho approached the communications panel. This is Commander Shunho of the Human Preservation Force. We recognize your authority in Federation space, but this system is under human protection. Admiral Ji-hoon's expression changed subtly. Something flashed in his eyes that wasn't quite right. So the legends are true, he said slowly. The humans still exist. Your presence explains much. Prepare to surrender your technology and submit to Federation authority. Admiral Kyung joined Shunho at the panel. We have no wish for conflict. However, we believe your Federation has been infiltrated by an ancient enemy, a parasitic entity we call the Devourers. Ridiculous accusations, snapped Ji-hoon. You will surrender now or face destruction. Admiral Kyung turned to Subin. It's as we feared. They're heavily infected. Guardian, Subin called out. Execute Protocol Lighthouse. Confirming Protocol Lighthouse, responded the AI. Warning, this will reveal our full capabilities. We have no choice, said Admiral Kyung. Do it. Outside the station, hidden systems activated. A brilliant pulse of energy radiated outward, washing over the Federation ships. It was harmless to normal life, but its effect on the infected was immediate. On the view screen, Admiral Ji-hoon and several officers collapsed in agony. Dark, shadowy entities began to emerge from their bodies, writhing in the light of the energy pulse. By the stars, whispered Dongho. They really were infected. Hyunwoo stared in shock. Those things were inside them, controlling them. Hidden compartments in the planet's surface opened, revealing launch bays. Human ships, smaller than the Federation warships but far more advanced, rose into orbit. All ships, secure the Federation vessels, ordered Commander Shunho. Contain the separated Devourers for analysis. Assist uninfected personnel. Within minutes, the human forces had neutralized the threat. The separated Devourer entities were contained in special energy fields, while the freed Federation officers received medical attention. The following day, Tae-hyun stood with Admiral Kyung as they addressed the surviving Federation personnel. What you witnessed was the extraction of parasitic entities that had taken control of your leaders, explained the Admiral. These Devourers have been slowly infiltrating your government for generations. Captain Seojin, the highest-ranking uninfected Federation officer, looked troubled. How deep does this infiltration go? We believe approximately 30% of your senior officials are compromised, replied Subin. The infection spread slowly, targeting those with influence first. Why would these Devourers want to keep your existence a secret? Asked Seojin. Because humans develop the only technology that can detect and remove them, said Commander Shunho. They fear us. That's why they've maintained the Forbidden Zone for so long, to keep you away from us. 2 weeks later, Tae-hyun found himself standing before the Federation Grand Council once again. This time, he wasn't alone. Commander Shunho stood beside him, along with several human scientists and diplomats. The council chamber was different now. Many seats remained empty, their former occupants confirmed as infected and now undergoing treatment. Others held new representatives, hastily appointed after emergency elections. The Federation owes you a great debt, archaeologist Tae-hyun, said acting head counselor Min-hee. Your curiosity and courage revealed a threat we never knew existed. Commander Shunho stepped forward. The Devourers you've encountered are merely fragments of a larger consciousness. Our scans indicate their main force still exists in distant space, growing stronger. They will return, and when they do, they will attempt to consume all sentient life. What do you propose? Asked Counselor Min-hee. An alliance, replied Shunho. Humanity has the technology to fight this enemy, but we are few in number. Together, we have a chance to stop them before they grow too powerful. The Council voted unanimously to accept the human alliance. In the days that followed, human ships and personnel spread throughout Federation space, establishing detection networks and teaching Federation scientists how to identify the subtle signs of devourer infection. Taehyun found himself working closely with Subin, documenting the true history of humanity for the Federation archives. For thousands of years, we told stories about the sky gods who visited our worlds and then disappeared, Taehyun said as they worked. We never imagined you left to protect us. Shubin smiled. Sometimes the most important truths are hidden in plain sight, remembered only as legends until the right moment. As the last Federation ship departed the human station, carrying detection technology to distant worlds, Taehyun watched from the observation deck. The humans had returned from myth to reality, not as conquerors or gods, but as allies against a common enemy. The legend had ended, but a new chapter in galactic history had just begun.